The one thing that I've always understood is that these players don't get here without being super competitive. Like, they are competing on a regular basis for their next contract, for that next game, whatever it is. So as a coach, whatever you can do to help a player become more prepared when he gets put in that competitive environment, that to me is what coaches are all about. Triano. I'm an assistant coach with the Charlotte Hornets. I was born in Canada, in Tillsonburg, Ontario, and grew up in Niagara Falls, Ontario. I think the advantage of that for me was that it's a border town, and Niagara Falls, New York, and Niagara University was right across the river from where I grew up. Prior to the '76 Olympics, the Canadian national team played an exhibition game at Niagara University, and I made the trip across the river to watch the game. And it was at that game that when Canada beat Niagara University and they lined up to play the Canadian national anthem, that to me, it was like, this is what I want to do. And that became my focus and my goal, was to play and represent Canada. 5 years later I did in 1980, and then I played in the Olympics in 1984, and then in 1988. So I kind of lived my dream as a player, as a Canadian playing in the Olympic Games. After the Olympics in '88, I knew that I was probably done playing. It was hard to find jobs, and I coached at an NAIA school up in Canada for 6 years, and then I actually applied to become the athletic director. And then the Vancouver Grizzlies showed up in Vancouver, and Stu Jackson saw my name in the newspaper as a finalist for the athletic director's job and said, if you're thinking about not coaching, I'd like to talk to you. So I went in and talked to him, and he said, I've got a job for you. You can be director of community relations. You can do color commentary on both radio and TV for us. And I was like, this is the NBA. I can't say no. So I started with the Vancouver Grizzlies upon their arrival in Vancouver.
Turnaround jumper against Elon. That's it for five. Now double team. Got to get it out of trouble. Fires underneath the country.
My oldest daughter, Courtney, is pregnant, and she just got married earlier in the summer. And my other daughter is 26. She lives in Toronto as well. And my son just got his master's degree at Western Oregon. He was there after playing for 4 years at the University of Gonzaga. My favorite thing is when Sherry and I get to walk the dogs. They don't care whether we won or lost, and they're so happy when I come home to go for a walk. That to me kind of takes me away from the environment, and I'll come home and I'll be fired up still from a game, and that walk kind of just dissolves everything, and then I can relax a little bit, work on my edit. Usually with a dog at my foot, they sit there and stay up as long as I do to finish an edit for the next day of practice. I'm so excited to be an assistant coach again. Being a head coach and then getting let go, it's tough. It's tough on your ego. It's how are you going to bounce back? And then I always had this thing in my mind that I was working in Toronto and I worked in Vancouver because I was Canadian. And I wanted to dispel that at some point in my coaching career. And when I went to Portland and worked for Terry Stotts, that was probably the best 4 years of my coaching career so far. I loved being the head coach in Toronto when I was, and I loved being the head coach in Phoenix last year. But there's just something that's so pure about being an assistant. I get to watch film, I get to prepare players, I get to talk to players and work them out, watch video with them, and everything I do every day is about basketball. So I'm super excited to be in Charlotte right now and work with James and help him in any way that I can. I get my taste of being a head coach with the Canadian national team, and we're in the process now of trying to qualify for the World Championships. So it makes it tough with the windows happening during the NBA season, but in the summertime I can devote my time to that and helping Canada maybe make it to the Olympics.